Okay, here we go. We're going to finish our lecture from yesterday over different types of barriers. If you remember, we talked about all the pre-zygotic barriers, all the barriers that would prevent a baby from being formed, a little zygote. And so today we're going to talk about post-zygotic barriers, and we'll see there's actually not as many. Let's talk about reduced hybrid viability. Remember, these are the mechanisms that are preventing Napoleon Dynamite from thinking that he can make any little creature he wants to. There was reduced hybrid fertility. And there's also something called hybrid breakdown. So again, these are the mechanisms that are in place that prevent like random little creatures from being formed. Reduced hybrid viability. This would mean that the hybrid, and in this case the hybrid is going to mean like the mule, right, or the liger. The hybrid's development is impaired, which is likely to cause death, or at least death at a young age. Cool. So this would be like making a liger, but the liger dying within the first 6 weeks of its life. Reduced hybrid fertility. This would be when the hybrids are sterile. Which means they are unable to reproduce. Like, for instance, the mule. Pretty sure the mule is sterile. Someone can correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure it is. It is. Good. And then there's hybrid breakdown, which is a case in which maybe this lasts for several generations, but at least after a couple of generations, after several generations, the production of offspring ceases. It means that the two can come together, a male and female of that hybrid can come together. You can make babies for a generation or two, and then for some reason, just can't. One generation becomes sterile or doesn't live long enough. So that kind of shows the end of the run on that. So again, these are the barriers that are preventing you from having like a new species just by adding two animals together in a cage. Cool? What? It works in Pokemon? Very good. You watch Pokemon?
No, I played Pokemon when I was in like third grade.
Oh, really?
It was about the breeder.
Oh. About Pokemon? Because I don't have an answer. I never made the mistake of starting to watch it.
I stopped last week. I'm trying to quit.
Okay, we're talking about hybrids. Alright, I'm using humans as an example. Are you talking about like a black person and a white person, or a human and an animal?
Like a cat and dog. Cat and dog. Like I'm saying like two completely different species. Like if yes, two totally different species. We're all of the same species in here. You know, welcome. No, the horse and the, I don't know, the cow. This now we talked about a series of mechanisms yesterday that prevent like what I would call like, I wouldn't say mutants, but I would say like hybrids would be the best term, like a mixture. Well, that's true, but they're not the same species. Like, you know, a cat and a tiger don't make babies. I mean, you know, a bear and a zebra, they're both mammals, but again, they're not making babies. because they're different species. That's what a species is.
Tongue that should that husky.
Okay, good.
Sorry.
Again, there are other species concepts out there, so maybe I think I might want to just discuss them or mention them real quick. What's the best species concept? Biological? So again, you're correct. I think that this biological species concept is the best. There are other ones, and I just want to throw them out to you. There's the morphological species concept. Which base species or defines a species by its structural features. But to me, that's really ambiguous because if you think about all the different species of butterflies, you would, according to this, put them all in the same one because they all look about the same. That didn't help us out. What'd she say?
She just remembered something.
What did she say?
Bakugan. It's like
Pokemon. I kind of feel like I missed out.
Yeah.
It was good. You really
Don't wear this. This is big in the college team these days. I can still.
Is it?
You go back here.
I guess I missed that while I was in reality. I'll have to
That was like
blame that on my dad too. Okay. Ecological species concept. This would be when you define a species based on niche. Do you know what a niche is? It's the role that a species has in its environment. It's like what it does. And then there's a couple of other species concepts, but to me they don't even make enough sense that I feel that they're worthy to write down. No. Mm-mm. I really don't even think you're going to have to know these, like, in any large degree. Just know that there are other ways to classify species, but they're really kind of illogical. Cool? Okay. Let's remind ourselves real quick from yesterday, what is speciation? Yeah, to make new species. So, like, speciation would be, like, when two random species come together and they make a hybrid, which, again, is extraordinarily unlikely. Or it could be the situation in which you have one original species. So let's kind of view this maybe in two cases. You can have species A and then species B. You can have them come together and make the hybrid species C. Correct? You see this mechanism. Two random species mate and make a hybrid species. Now, if you think about it, that leaves everyone, A, B, and C, are all still there. They all still exist, right? Like, for instance, bear, zebra, bear, ebra, I don't know, making it up. The bear and the zebra still exist, and now there's the hybrid form. Cool? Now, here's something else that could happen, too. Watch this. You see what we've drawn out here? You had an original species A, like let's take the squirrel, right? And for some reason, maybe the squirrel population got divided into two squirrel populations, and the original ones still are there, but there's an offshoot from the one of the populations that was like separated, right? Does that make sense? I think that seems pretty logical. Like, how about Darwin's finches from the mainland of South America, correct? South American coastline, still there to this day. New species of finches, though, on the Galapagos Islands, derived from the original species A. We good? Everyone seems very tired today. What time did we go to bed?
11 o'clock. It was awesome.
Nice.
I was up watching.
Okay, let's talk about two terms: allopatric speciation and sympatric speciation. In allopatric speciation, speciation occurs because of a geographic barrier. Say there was a lake, and then randomly there was a big, like, I don't know, mountain that was formed, like in the middle of the lake, and it divides the lake into two different lakes now. That would be allopatric speciation. Whereas sympatric would be a case in which you are creating a new species while in the same environment. So speciation occurs without a geographic barrier. Cool. Bless you. You're welcome. I'll show you a picture real quick. This one's from your book. You could write this down. This is from your book. See, you've got original fish in the original lake. They're all the orange color. And now look, you have two different colors, blue and orange. There's two different ways this could have happened. You could have had a barrier, allopatric speciation, or you could have just had the event happen while there is no barrier, which would have been sympatric speciation. Always mean allopatric means indifferent, and sympatric is in same. They become two different species in the same area. Which do you think is most likely? Because in allopatric, you are blocking, or you're stopping gene flow. This is a decent example. You can apply it to your real life if you want to, or not. I guess it's kind of whatever. But if you have someone that you are dating or whatever, and you believe it's time for it to be over, or they believe it's time for it to all be over, whichever way I guess it happens, I think you might understand or get this concept that it would be best if like all connection was broken, right? You keep seeing each other or whatever, like that's just gonna like cause the thing to linger on, like that song by the Cranberries. No one got it. So I think you would see that it would be best that you become your own two different people. What? No, that you become your own people in your different like areas, right? Yeah. So move away, go to a different zip code, or a different state, whatever it may be, but get away. Nicole, your question.
What exactly would happen to make like sympatric species? Like I completely understand allopatric because that like makes sense because there's a barrier. Like what would go on that they could like still split apart?
You'd have to have like, it could be that there are different food sources at two opposing ends, you know, of like a lake, right? It could be the simple fact that it's not that there's some kind of object or creature that is blocking the two off. So I mean, when we say geographic like isolation, that means there's like a mountain, or the fact that the water doesn't exist. You know, it's no longer a complete lake, like you saw in the little picture above. But as far as like what the barrier, there has to be some type of barrier that prevents gene flow in a sympatric speciation. It's just not geographic. Now, is the barrier because there's a creature that's blocking the connection? Maybe. But you could agree that the connection has to be blocked for more than like just a day. It's got to be blocked long term, correct? Because like the minute you have gene flow, the minute you're reconnected. That's why I was telling you the example about your boyfriend or girlfriend or whatever your story is. Like, if you can just cut off communication for X amount of years, you'll come back together, or you'll see each other again. You realize that you guys have both evolved into two totally different people, and that there's no way that it was going to work because you've gone down your separate roads. So to me, it's like the same concept. Now, the idea is, are you living in the same town, or are you living in a different town? I mean, but either which way, if